Thanks everybody for being here. I see a lot of familiar faces, a couple new ones. My name is Dylan Gibson. I'm the city clerk for Commerce City, and I'm your designated election official for the 2025 November election. You're going to hear from a lot from me and my staff, Kim Garland, my deputy, Brittany Rodriguez, our senior assistant city clerk, and Kim Adame, who will be in here in just a minute, my assistant city clerk, throughout the election. You're going to get sick of me. You're going to hear a lot from me tonight. And we also have our city manager, Jason Rogers, here, who will kick us off. So I'm going to turn it over to him. Feel free to raise your hand, ask any questions throughout the presentation. Again, just as a reminder, it's being recorded to watch at a later date, and it'll be posted on the website. There you go, sir.
Thank you, Dylan. So he gave me a little bit of a brief intro. I think just a couple of quick seconds or moments just to kind of share with you a little bit about myself. Obviously, Jason Rogers, city manager, been city manager since December 2022. A little bit more background about myself. I've been in local government for 20 plus years in a number of different capacities across the country. I would take hands down, Commerce City's got a lot of exciting things in front of it. And I think you have a great opportunity to be a part of it, right? So appreciate you all coming out here tonight, learn a little bit about the organization. As I go through this presentation, this is meant to be an iterative, open, organic conversation. So don't hold back on any questions that you have. There's no question that's off cards if I can answer it for you, okay? So Commerce City, kind of went through introductions. I'm gonna give it just general city government overview, and then I'm gonna turn it over to the specialist in the back. So I think we all kind of know the geographic boundaries of Commerce City. What you have up on this map is within the orange is what is incorporated within the municipal boundaries. You'll probably notice that we have a couple of flagpole annexations, one that's over at 120th, just north of the airport. That was done at a period of time to be able to ensure our future and our growth. So that's why you see that extent over such. But generally speaking, we have a city that has commonly been discussed in two formats. We have what is our core city, which is south of 96th Avenue. And then we have what is our northern range, which is north of 96th Avenue. Core city has been more organic in the growth of it following the industry moving up the South Platte, as well as the O'Brien Canal, whereas our northern range is more planned unit development, planned out over the course of a 20-year period. Some of our earliest approvals for where you're seeing residents that have been long stay, dating back to 2000, 2001, that we're actually now just starting to see be built out. So very long-standing, very long-term planning that had gone into the northern range. Now, when we talk about the future, what you have up here is the future land use map, which is pulled out of our comprehensive plan. What is interesting about this is with the most recent updated comprehensive plan, we actually expanded our boundaries of where and how the city would grow. So as you look at the crosshatch lines, number 13, as well as number 1 and 13 to the west, that's actually expanding. It's at some point in time in the near future, up to 2045, Commerce City's boundaries across 25 up to 36, western boundary being Pecos, as well as furthest east of what is now known as Imboden Drive, getting to the easternmost edge of the airport. Why that is important is as we as a city, as we continue to think about economic opportunities, as we think about growth in support of this, we looked at what is both existing but also future and plan to be able to support. We're not overarching changing the vision or the goals. The comprehensive plan that was adopted in 2010 looked at a build out of the city of around 180,000 people. That was still retained and maintained and doubled down within the new comprehensive plan that's in place. City Council. We have a 9 city council makeup. We have 4 wards, 4 at large, and 1 mayor. Obviously, wards are elected from and represent their ward. So we have both wards 1 and both wards 3 up for election this upcoming November. And we have two at-large positions as well, which represents generally the entire city. So when you think about that at-large election representing the entire city, right? They're the voice of all the people that we have. And then obviously, I would say generally with what we've heard from our council, from my leadership is that while they represent a ward, there is obviously still an eye and an ear towards the concerns and the issues that they're hearing from either neighborhoods in the Northern Range or in that core city. The mayor is elected for the entire city. In the charter, some of the primary responsibilities that are outlined for the mayor are one, presiding over regular study, special meetings that we have, but also over ceremonies that may occur within the city, such as the Memorial Day Parade, such as our Fort Fest, and things along that line. When it comes to emergency services, he has the opportunity as well. They're serving a marshal capacity. So there are different aspects in which the mayor is able to have certain roles, responsibilities, and duties. Current council goals. I'm not going to read through all of them. They are posted on our website. We have 6 current council goals. The importance of that role revolve around transportation, environmental sustainability, economic development, public safety, housing. And what you'll find is with the promulgation of these goals, it played an extremely important foundational piece into our 2024-2028 strategic plan. That strategic plan was adopted in 2024. It has as the foundational basis for creating strategies, objectives, and then targets and measures for us as a staff to be able to demonstrate that we've moved the needle that tie back into that. There is a goal of mine, and we talked about it yesterday during the budget process with the council about getting back underneath the hood of that strategic plan and seeing what still resonates from what we're hearing in the community, what we're hearing with those that we're wanting to attract to be able to provide investment in our community so that we can then refine, modernize, or evolve it as necessary. So that will be one of the things that my office will be leading with this new council is, does the strategic plan that we have identified from 24 to 28 still make sense in today's shifting landscape? And if not, what do we do to then accomplish the goals based on the concerns and the issues that we're hearing from the community at large and broadly? I'm gonna take a break. Any questions so far?
What is the current population of Commerce City?
I'm coming to that.
Okay.
I'm coming to that. That's a good
I
question.
can be patient.
That's a good question.
Thank you.
Governance structure. So we are a council manager form of government. And that's very different than what you may find in other municipalities where it is a strong mayor form of government. And the importance of that is that there is role discipline that is identified within the charter between the city council, which provides policy leadership, policy guidance, versus my role as the city manager, which is to take those priorities and policies and to translate that into action. So in a council form of management of government, all 9 council members have equal weight, equal say, and being able to give guidance and direction to its 3 employees, which we will go through here shortly. As city manager, this calls me out as the chief administrative officer, and that's very much so in what I do, which is to provide general oversight of the day-to-day operations to ensure that we are accomplishing those goals and those priorities. From an organizational chart, regardless of whether it's council, whether it's my office, we have an overarching, what I will call leadership or boss. That is going to be the Commerce City residents. Now, I diversify what residents means because it's really the constituency that we have here in the city, which is both of our residents, our business owners, our nonprofit organizations, non-government organizations that call Commerce City home. Once you move into the city, you become a part of that urban fabric and you become a part of the equation in which we have to be able to respond to. So in that, right, the residents, the constituents speak to the concerns, to the issues, the desires, the wants and the needs to our council, which then give that policy-making discussion or guidance and direction that we need to its 3 employees, the city attorney, the municipal judge, and the city manager. We have also what I call a program of boards and commission that's been created by our council that looks at a number of different issues, whether it's fire, whether it's water, whether it's DEI, whether it's housing. They all play a role in being able to help advise and provide recommendations to the body that then can ultimately be given as direction to myself and to my staff. As far as for the city manager's office, I have two direct report, I have four direct reports. I have the assistant to the city manager. I have two deputy city managers, one over operations and one over strategic initiatives. That is purposeful in being able to look at how we align strategy with operations and resources being personnel and non-personnel related, so that we can accomplish the goals and that we can execute consistently and on a level of continuity that gives confidence to our community. I also have the police chief as my direct report as well. Within that, we have also created assistant city managers. Those assistant city managers provide more direct line of support and resource to our various departments that we have. We have community development, public works, human resource, information technology, community wellbeing as a handful, as well as Parks Rec, city clerk, economic development as well. Total of 13 different departments, which I will tell you are accomplishing a number of different things. If you have a chance to go back and take a look at the proposed budget discussion yesterday, I would encourage you to do so. There's a discussion that lays out what the various departments have been able to accomplish in the main in 2035. And when you look across those 13 departments, I think there was a total of around 30 plus accomplishments that are just key accomplishments, not everything that they've been able to do in 2025. So kudos to them for being able to move a number of different efforts forward that tie back into that strategic plan, but also then feed off of what was able to be reconciled through the budget for last year, for this year, and what they're proposing and being able as far as their key initiatives next year. Any questions? Okay. City budget. This lovely chart and graph shows how our various budget for the different departments for 2025 breaks out. In total, we have around 117 million appropriated in expenditures for the various departments. We do post our budget online. Like I said, we're currently going through our budget appropriation process now with City Council, which the budget workshop will be open September 8th. I would encourage you all to participate either hybridly or to take that in just so that you become more familiarized with what is being advanced and what you all will be stepping into potentially in November, December timeframe and being able to help activate. This population total general government revenues shows where and how we have grown over the course of the last 10 years. Right now, we're sitting around 71,000 people on average. So we're adding around 4 to 5% new residents, new population to the city. That puts us as the third fastest city growing behind Erie and Windsor in Colorado. In that, we're also seeing a total general government revenue that comes from CIP, that comes from taxes, that comes from charge services, that comes from grants, it comes from our inter-service fund that we were able to demonstrate around 180 million. And you'll find this also online in our act book.
Jason, what does CIP stand for?
Capital Investment Program. Our capital investment program, something that we also around the same time with the strategic plan adopted, looking out not just on an annual basis, but looking at a 5-year projected period of where we think we would need to make certain improvements, whether it's in drainage, roadway construction, maintenance, sidewalk construction, and it identified why those are the most critical infrastructure for the next 5 years so that we can then improve the quality of life for our community. It also not just relies on sales and use tax, but we also have other sources and uses that come from the federal government, also from the state and or from the county that we leverage to be able to meet that. I believe our projected CIP program for 26 just in the annual is around 26 to 30 million. And across the 5-year period is somewhere in the range of 100 to 150 million based on the different improvements. Once again, there's a discussion that we have annually. We had our most recent one, July 21st. We want to go back, take a look at it. You'll get an understanding of what the direction we receive from council in exploring. That'll be a dovetail package to the budget that gets approved. Demographics, getting to what the question was asked. So first and foremost, gotta know where you came from. In 1952, Commerce City was incorporated as Commerce Town. It was then renamed to what we know now and adopted its first charter in 1970. That charter, for the most part, has remained unchanged. There's been obviously modifications over time to address obviously the new environment, the different landscapes that have come since then. I think what's a very interesting piece of information is that we have 37.3 square miles currently incorporated into Commerce City. We have an urban growth boundary that is approximately another 31 square miles. And why that's so intriguing is that it is, when you think about the square miles of Commerce City, that is currently Brighton and North Glen together in undeveloped area that we have to still be able to build out over the course of our long-term planning. So when you think about it, we already have one city and we have the ability to have 2 additional cities within what we have as remaining land area to build out. So that's why it's extremely important when we think about not just the comprehensive plan, but also the master transportation plan that looks at the roadway infrastructure to support not just the existing growth or the existing condition, but also future growth and development. We've also have approved a Parks and Rec Golf Master Plan. We used to have what was the Prairie Gateways Master Plan, which was dated back to 1999, 2000, 2001. This is our first major update of really thinking about the amenitization, whether that's parks, whether that's trails, whether that's recreation facilities, whether it's other dynamic amenities for our community based on input that we receive as a major overhaul about how we think about that live, work, play environment. So having those 3 pieces is creating a solid foundation for us as we continue to think about the next 25 years. But an additional piece of that is our economic development strategic plan. I think that's probably one of the most important components of this as well, is that it looks at the comprehensive plan, it looks at the infrastructure, it also looks at the amenities and thinks about how do you then leverage those to create an environment where you're able to attract those who want to provide financial investment into your community. They want to grow their business, they want to bring their employees, and their employees then help to feed the ecosystem that we have, but also be able to bring in things that are commercially supportive of them, to bring in diverse housing that meets a number of different, AMI or median income, so that, we have a socioeconomic demographic that is strong, that is diverse, and is able to grow as we see the city grow. So we have more than 1,800 businesses, and this is where, as we continue to think about that growth and development, where our employment distribution and our company distribution and understanding who we are, which is predominantly manufacturing, or not really manufacturing, but transportation, logistics, and distribution. This data that you see on this screen was fed into our economic development strategic plan. It helped to identify further of this, what are small businesses, what are industries of interest, what are tools, what are policies or programs that we can build, that we can then begin to implement, that we can be able to take throughout the community and be able to see growth in our sales and use tax, growth in our diverse offerings of employment. And how do we then support that through small business or business retention opportunities? Development activity and trends. From January to May of this year, we are actually down from some of our historic trends. There's a number of things that can play into that.
developer wariness, lack of financial investment due to the market conditions that we see, the planning process, the decision making. I think all of that comes into play. And I don't think one piece or another is the determining factor, but you have to look at that holistically, because when we think about growth and development, right, spurs that continued ability to be able to deliver levels of service and the necessary core competencies to our community. So what you'll find is that over a 5-year average, we're averaging 1,016 residential permits and around 73 new non-residential permits. Typically around this time of year, we'd be around 450 to 475 new residential and almost around 30 to 40 new non-residential permits. So while we're not too far off on new non-residential, we're still down, and we're still down on the new residential permits. There's been discussions. I think if you've gone back and looked at it in the last month or two, conversations around growth and development here in Commerce City, lowering fees, and certain other decisions that were made with respect to such as fire sprinklers that our council has had. I would expect that those conversations are going to continue in the near future with any new council to understand how do we continue to grow smartly that is able to balance the core competencies, the basics that our community needs as far as levels of service, while also being able to expand that economic market. The sales and use tax makes up a predominant use of the revenues that we get. I know we don't have a slide here, but I think if you look at the proposed budget, we live and die on our sales and use tax. And even our use tax is broken into 3 buckets of equal thirds. Use tax is construction use tax, vehicle use tax, and all other. Use tax makes up 25% of our sales and use tax, which is also our general fund revenues. So if we generate 105 million across sales and use tax, 25% of that comes from development activity, or a portion of development activity goes into that 25%. So it's not a small share of what we see from it. It's actually a big piece to the equation for us in being able to continue to deliver what the community is looking for. So take a little bit of a minute to talk about different departments. Public Works. We have around 180 employees. I'll say primarily the main mission of Public Works is to ensure that we have safe roads, that we have the appropriate infrastructure, whether it is roads, drainage, and to be able to help get people from point A to point B. We also focus on refuse collection. That's a big thing that while this new council will not have to manage, given that we've been able to get through that RFP process to be able to bring Republic Services back into the fold. There's going to be certain expectations about the delivery of that service into the community and the expansion, and particularly looking at electrifying the fleet for refuse services which is governed or overseen by Public Works. That's around a $6.5 million price tag that we provide to the community. We're one of only 2 communities in the state that provides trash service to its residents. So in addition to that, we provide traffic engineering. So when you think about your traffic lights and the coordination and signalization, we also look at that from a perspective of developing a safety action plan, working through our master transportation plan. And those two will go hand in hand. The safety action plan is in response to a number of different critical and fatal accidents that we have seen and have had to address over the course of the last 2 to 3 years. And this is our ability to be able to try to hit that head on. Once we get that safety action plan, hopefully adopted Q4 of this year, it'll be able to open up opportunities for federal funding to actually bring some of those implement some of those countermeasures that will be identified within that, so that we can actually show tangible and hopefully community benefit about public safety. Another thing that we also have is the capital investment, kind of share that with you. I would say, when you think about all of our capital investment that would be necessary for the city, I haven't done the math lately, so I'm going to do this on the fly, but I think it was somewhere around 1.2 billion in total capital infrastructure between roads, drainage, parks necessary to be able to meet total build out. We also provide park maintenance, recreational center maintenance, and obviously fleet maintenance as well across the entire organization. Parks and Recreation and Golf, they do all the cool stuff, right? They throw, and they've done a really great job in really diversifying how they approach activation and amenitization for our community, right? We have a handful, a number of different parks. We have over 25 miles of trails that are interconnected and continue to, build out to connect into the regional system, such as the Grand Sand Creek Greenway. 6 trailheads, 3 open spaces, and most recently, we've been focused on strengthening our connections with the Arsenal. So we have a number of different connection points along the Arsenal that allow for that to not able to be annexed or to be a part of the city due to the Constitution. We still leverage it as a resource. And if you think about the primary access point to the Arsenal is from Commerce City, and they have around 1 million visitors a year. So that spurs opportunity and activation for us as a city from a tourism perspective, and having our Parks and Rec team being able to leverage. But I think, as you all kind of know, the big pieces, right? Paradise Island Water Park, my kids love it, can't pull them from it. Eagle Point Recreation Center, Buffalo Run Golf Course. We have a major project that we were able to get a contract approved, and being able to look at the renovation and rehabilitation of that facility that's been in existence since 1996, has not seen any major improvements made to it since 1996. So well overdue for something that, while it may not generate significant revenue, it has served as a destination for our community. And then Bison Ridge Recreation Center. Fun fact, 700,000 plus visitors come to our various facilities. I think last time I reviewed, Bison Ridge had approximately 500,000 visitors just alone. So one of the things that we're also looking at is how do we then capture data about who's visiting, when they're visiting, so that we can then better understand how to provide services to them, programs to them, classes to them, and then diversify that across who is the makeup of our city. The police department. So PD has truly grown in the last 2 to 3 years. PD, obviously public safety, I think that kind of speaks for itself, right? They provision of what's necessary to protect the city when it comes to issues around criminality and or violations under law. In that department, what we've seen is a increase in community engagement. The chief spoke to that a little bit last night. Is really trying to think about neighborhood policing, community policing, and how to engage the community to be able to drive trust, confidence in their abilities. If you haven't noticed, tonight's National Night Out, so they're making their ways around the city. And that's something that they've, just one of the things that they've done, from donuts with cops, churros with cops, a number of different events that they have continued to do. They did a vet clinic for spay and neutering here a handful of times. So once again, trying to really think about the impact that they make in trying to change the reputation or the perception of them in our community. But they have grown from just your sworn and unsworn and some of your typical traffic unit, or responding to priority 1, 2, 3, or 9 calls, and 3 or 9 calls are more of your lower base calls, such as noise disturbances and or parking enforcement issues. And your obviously primary 1 and 2 calls being more of those that necessitate an immediate response.
But what our PD has done has grown by providing a commercial motor vehicles to deal with the heavy truck issues that we've heard across our community. We have expanded into a K9 unit. But the thing that really gets me pretty jazzed, I said pretty jazzed, is that we've created what is called the DRFR program, Drones as First Responder. And associated with that will be a real-time crime center. We're not the only ones across the state that are experiencing issues with being able to hire officers. And when we do hire officers, it's a 16-month period before we can actually be able to realize them on the ground. So with that, Drone First Responder program is the first of its kind in Colorado, where we're actually able to use drones to serve as officers in the vehicle, eyes on scene, to be able to give the situation back at command and how to address it without putting the community in harm's way. So very cool for how the police has disrupted just its thought process on operation. Human resources obviously responsible for the management and the recruitment of employees, engaging employees, ensuring that we are competitive in the market with those that we are looking to bring in and to be able to do the great work to deliver for our community. What you see as far as our demographics shows as a makeup of who we are, both from ethnicity as well as from gender, and it's a rather healthy split across that, which I think is just working towards our benefit of being an equal employer. We spoke about my office. My office has also grown over the last couple of years, dealing with things that from a jurisdictional responsibility has shifted because of funding or because of just the direction that has been given at the state or the federal level. So when it came to habitability, livability issues, unhoused, dealing with immigration status and supporting our community, we created what was the Community Wellbeing Division. And they're dedicated to providing poverty, homelessness, and neighborhood and race equity navigation for a variety of sectors of our community. We also established, given that we were hearing concerns around environmental justice in the main, and how can we be an advocate? How can we have a voice at the table with the state and the federal government? We established what is our Energy, Equity, and Environment Division. So that is the arm of my office that coordinates with CDPHE, EPA, our various federal agencies, as well as the county health department, on being able to express our concerns or our comments or our thoughts on things ranging from oil and gas to air quality to water quality, but also sustainable issues that may have impacts. And then we have the city clerk's office, which handles elections, passports, and the main. Opportunities to address for the city, I kind of highlighted environmental justice. We hear about that on the daily. Homelessness, families at risk, obviously things that have come down from the federal government about how we have to be thinking about unhoused populations, thinking about how we should be providing both the necessary wraparound services, but also how are we addressing the public safety concerns that might come from that. So that is a balancing act that we continue to attempt to address and look to policy guidance and leadership from our council. Growth and development, I think you kind of heard me kind of sprinkle that in throughout the presentation, right? That will dictate how we are able to continue to provide services, what that looks like, and how do we address that to ensure that the core competencies are not falling behind or falling down for our residents and our businesses. Sound infrastructure and amenities to meet the needs of the community. That kind of goes back into what assets do we need to have, what assets are in need of repair, and what assets can we partner on with other regional partners, whether at the state, county, or federal level, to get us to a place where, right, people are proud to be able to be in a park, proud to be able to use one of our streets or use one of our rec facilities. With that, any questions? If not, you can always reach out to me, and I'm more than willing to answer any questions that you all might have after this. Thank you, Rep. Dillon.
All righty. Thank you so much, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
My pleasure.
All right, everybody. Again, my name is Dylan Gibson. I'm your city clerk. I'm also your designated election official for the 2025 November election. So if you don't already know, our election date is November 4th of 2025 of this year. Offices for the 2025 ballot will be the Ward 1 seat, the Ward 3 seat, and we have 2 at-large seats. You're being elected for a 4-year term. Again, this is the ward breakdown of the city. If you haven't already seen it, these maps are online. They will also be in your candidate packet on the thumb drive. Some of you have already picked it up. Some of you will grab one tonight. But a copy of each of these maps, both the citywide map and each individual ward map, so you're not seeing everything else, will be provided in your packet for you. Eligibility. So in order to be eligible to be a candidate on the ballot for this year, which if you've turned in your candidate affidavit, you've already sworn and notarized your signature that you meet these requirements. But you must be a citizen of the United States. You have to be 18 years of age of older on November 4th, 2025. You have to be a registered voter at the time of filing your petition. So when you turn in your petition of those 25 minimum signatures to me, you have to be a registered voter. So if you haven't registered to vote, do that soon. You have to reside in the city within or for at least 12 months prior to filing your petition with my office. If you're running for a ward seat, you have to live within that ward for at least 25 days before filing your petition with my office. And you cannot be serving a felony conviction. So to become a candidate, what do you have to do? You have to declare your candidacy. You can do that through taking an ad out in the newspaper the old-fashioned way, Facebook, right? It has to be some sort of public declaration. Then you can receive a contribution or make an expenditure in support of your candidacy. So I'm giving myself $1 to support my candidacy. Boom, I've met that qualification. You then register your candidate committee with my office if you are forming a committee. You don't have to form a committee. We'll get into that here in just a minute. But registering your candidate committee with my office also counts as the public declaration if you don't have social media and if you don't want to do it that way. Regardless, within 10 days of either filing your petition with my office, declaring a candidacy, making that expenditure, filing your new committee registration with my office, within 10 days, you have to submit that candidate affidavit to me. All of our election filings will go online within 24 hours of receipt in my office on the c3gov.com/elections page. So if you want to see your own filings, you want to see your opponent's filings, you want to see a different race that you're not even running for's filings. Also, any committees that are not associated with the candidate will also be registered and those filings will be on, right? We get about anywhere from 5 to 12 non-associated candidate committees that raise money, spend money in support of candidates or issues in Commerce City on average. And again, their filings will be on that election page as well. So just because you become a candidate and you file that paperwork doesn't mean you're going to be on the ballot. In order to get on the ballot, you need to circulate the nomination petition that is in your envelope that you've already either picked up or you'll pick up tonight. And you need to circulate that petition between today and August 25th at 4:59 and 59 seconds. That has to be turned in to me in person, August 25th, 4:59, 59 seconds. You have to have your nomination petition signed by registered voters in the city. You can't just have somebody sign and they're not a registered voter. You can't have somebody sign and they don't live in the city. It has to be a registered voter in the city. It's not a hard hurdle, but you do need 25 of those signatures on your nomination petition. In your packet, you will have 2 nomination petitions. Each one of those petitions has 25 signatures each. So I'm giving you a total of 50 signatures to hopefully get your 25. If you don't get all 25 of those, you will have an opportunity, what they call in statute, cure your petition. So I'll tell you how many signatures you need. I'll give you a third petition section and you'll go out and you'll gather those remaining signatures by the deadline. If you're running for an at-large seat, which there are 2, you can have anyone that's registered to vote in the city sign your petition. If you're running for a ward seat, you can only have the registered voters within your ward sign. So if you're running for Ward 1, you cannot have a registered voter and 2, 3, or 4 sign your petition. Well, you can, but I'm not going to count it, right? It's not a valid signature. Same thing for Ward 3. Voters cannot sign more than 1 petition per office on the ballot. So for Wards 1 and Wards 3, 1 person can sign 1 petition per that office. So if somebody's out at King Soopers, they go in and they get stopped on the way in and it's, candidate A running for Ward 1, they sign that petition, they come back out. Now candidate B for Ward 1 is also asking them to sign. They can only sign 1 of those. If they sign both of them, I'm going to look for the signature on which they sign first. So if they go into King Supers on Monday, they sign Ward 1, they come in on King Supers on Friday again and sign for Ward 1, I'm counting the earlier signature. If somebody signs a petition multiple times, or multiple petitions per office on the same day, I have to throw both out because I cannot determine which petition they signed first. For your petition sections, do not separate it, don't deface it, mark it, or otherwise modify your nomination petition. Don't take your pen and try and get it to work on your petition section. If any of this happens, I have to declare that entire petition section invalid. You can have all of those lines filled in. If there's a pen mark, if it's defaced, if you separated it, I have to declare that entire petition section invalid. So in your packet, one of your petition sections, you will again get to, it's gonna look like this. It's folded nice and neat. There are 3 staples on the back. There's no markings or anything. You're only gonna fill in the blank lines on your petition, as well as have the voters sign your petition for you. Any other scratches, marks, you pull it apart, it rips, it's otherwise defaced. I have to throw the entire thing out. I cannot stress how important it is because I've had to do it before and it was not fun. Do not do anything to otherwise deface it. If you get your 25 signatures, I will inform you of your petition sufficiency. So at least 2 people in my office are going to check your petition signatures. I will make that final call. So if you have a problem with whether it's declared sufficient or insufficient, that will come to me. If you have your 25 signatures and you're declared a candidate, I'm going to give you a phone number to call. Adams County has a visually impaired ballot where you will call in to a phone number and you will give your name. I'm really bad about pronouncing names, so I'm not going to call in to that number and butcher everybody's name for the ballot. You guys are going to call in so voters can hear your voice and hear your name as you pronounce it. Insufficient petition. So again, if let's say you turn in your 2 petition sections of 50 signatures, but you get 23 on August 25th, I'm going to give you until August 29th to cure those remaining petitions. If you don't get all 25 signatures by August 29th at that deadline, then you don't qualify. If you do, then you're sufficient. You're going to call that phone number, give your name, and then we will go from there. So again, your petition section, you will fill these in for each section before you circulate it. This has to be filled in before you get your first signature. So you're going to fill in your full name of your candidate or your candidacy, so your name, the street address where you're registered to vote at, and then the office that you're seeking. So Ward 1, Ward 3, or at large. Once you have your petition circulated, and there's only one person that can sign that or can circulate that petition. So if you take your petition and you get 10 signatures and you need to hand off to a friend, neighbor, supporter, partner, whoever that is, they cannot circulate the remaining petition. As soon as you get your first signature on that petition, you circulate it, you own it. Give it that second petition section to go circulate, they own it. They cannot pass it off to anybody else. You're gonna, whoever circulated that petition is gonna print their name, put their street address, and then certify that they didn't have anybody promise to pay them to get a signature. They weren't threatened, that they signed in front of them, right? So if you guys have an event where you're having a supporter event and you leave a petition out on a counter, you can't have people sign that. You have to individually witness those signatures occur. Every affidavit will have a notarization section. Myself and my office cannot notarize election documents for you. It's very important that you have these notarized when you turn these in. It's happened before where somebody came in, they had all 50 signatures filled in, they had everything done, signed, they didn't have these forms notarized, and it was 501. I had to declare their candidacy ineligible for the ballot. Once you have a petition fully filled out, you have the circulator signed and notarized, whether that's yourself or supporter, friend, partner, whoever that is. You're going to accept the nomination. So you're going to say, I, so-and-so, am accepting the nomination for Ward 1, Ward 3 at large for the November 4th, 2025 election. I affirm that I meet the qualifications under Commerce City's Home Rule Charter and state statute. And then you're going to put your name as you want it to appear on the ballot. Whatever you put here is what I'm going to put to Adams County for the ballot that goes out to voters. So if your name is Robert and you go by Bob, you're going to fill in Robert, quotation marks, Bob, Doe, whatever your last name is. Your address, the date that you accept this nomination, so the date that that petition is filled out, you're going to turn it into me. And again, a notarization section. Please make sure these are fully notarized when you drop them off. So again, at least 2 people will review your petition for sufficiency. We're gonna look at the following. It's not comprehensive, but this does give you an idea of what we're looking for. So when you're out there circulating, these are the things that you also want to look for, like, oop, 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 you forgot this, or you didn't do that. It needs to be dated. The date needs to be correct. So that means the date needs to fall between August 5th and August 25th. If the date is outside that window, I automatically cross it off. The signature line needs to be complete. The signature needs to be legible. I've spent up to 2 hours trying to determine what somebody wrote on a line to make sure that I'm trying my hardest to make sure that that voter that wants that person on the ballot has their signature and their voice heard. But if at a certain point, if it's just completely beyond me from being able to read it, I have to cross it off. Their address has to match what they're registered in the Colorado Voter Registration Database, which is called SCORE. The person signing is registered in SCORE, so both their address where they're registered and the fact that they're in there have to be there. And then again, that person does not sign more than the allowed number of petitions. So I keep a little self-tracker. I track every single signature for every single petition. And if I see duplicates, I have to check the name, and then I have to cross off if they sign more petitions than they're allowed, and then mark it ineligible, the one that's later. Little helpful tip, everybody in here gets 1 free signature. It's your own, because you're a registered voter in the ward or the city that you already live in. So sign your petition. A lot of people don't remember to do that, but you always get a freebie. The ballot order. The ballot is not determined by who filed first, by alphabetical, anything like that. It's determined by luck of the draw. So on September 3rd, over in the council chambers, we will host a ballot lot draw. We've got the city's old ballot box from way back in the day, way older than me. And we will invite members of the boards and commissions to draw names, right? We don't want you guys thinking we're looking in or, playing favorites or anything like that. So we bring our board and commission members in. They draw the names out of the ballot box, and then that determines our ballot lot draw. The ballot lot draw will be live streamed and recorded just like it is tonight, and it will be up on the website for everybody to watch. And then I certify that ballot to the county at September 5th at 3 p.m. We also have to have the ballot translated by a certified translator for Spanish for Adams County voters. So between September 3rd and September 5th, I have to get that done. We conduct our election as a coordinated election with Adams County. So the Adams County Clerk and Recorder is really nice. They take up all the city and Adams County and all the special districts. They take everybody's ballot, put it on 1 ballot, and they send it out. Ballots will be mailed by Adams County starting on October 13th, and then voter centers will open up on October 27th. By November 26th, so the election is conducted on November 4th, the state statute gives the Adams County Clerk 22 days to certify the election. So on or before November 26th, Adams County will canvass the vote and certify that election result within 10 days of that canvass taking place. That's very important because the city will host the organization meeting where the winners of the election will get sworn in on the 2nd Monday following the certification of those results. Tentatively, that's going to be either December 1st or December 8th, depending on when Adams County certifies the results and how the Mondays stack up. That's where you're going to be sworn in and your term begins for those 4 years. And you're off to the races from there. Any questions so far on nomination petitions, running for office, qualifications, anything like that? Fantastic. Campaign signs. I've already talked to some of you about this. If you're here for 2023, you've experienced it. This is, without a doubt, probably the most contentious aspect of the election. During election season, they're everywhere. You can't miss them. They go in places they shouldn't. It's just the nature of the election. But we're going to help you make sure that you don't put your campaign signs where they're not supposed to be and give you guidance on that. So under the Commerce City sign code, for elections, you're allowed 4 different sign types. You've got your fabric wall banners, you've got your inflatable signs, window signs, and yard signs. For fabric signs, they have to be attached against a building, not on a fence, not strung from a rooftop, has to be flat against a building. It cannot obstruct the view of any architecture, entrance, or be a traffic hazard. It cannot be placed on a residential property. Fabric banners can only be placed on commercial property. If it's placed on a commercial or industrial property, you are required to get a sign permit. You can apply for that on the city's website. It's very easy to do. You can have up to a 40 square foot sign size, so 4 by 10 roughly. And those fabric signs on a commercial building that's flat against the wall that you get a permit for can only be up for a maximum of 30 days. For inflatable signs, they have to be tethered or anchored to the ground. Again, they cannot be placed on residential property. If they are placed on commercial or industrial property, a sign permit is required. You can apply for that online. It's very easy to do. They have to be placed at least 10 foot set back from the right of way on that property. They cannot take up more than 3 feet of ground space and then 20 foot high, and they cannot be up for more than 7 consecutive days. Window signs, they can only be placed in industrial or commercial areas. You can't have them on apartment complexes, residential properties, multifamily. You don't need a permit. They cannot be placed on the second or higher floors. You're allowed up to 200 square foot maximum size, and there's no time limit on those. Those can stay up into December. Yard signs, the most common one. These can go anywhere that they're permitted. You don't need a permit for them, but they cannot be placed in parks, alleys, or most importantly, right-of-ways. And if you're up north, that includes tree lawns because the city treats tree lawns as a city right-of-way. You can have up to 6 square feet per sign and 24 square feet total. So that's basically 3 by 2 and 4 of those in a residential property. They have to be at least 5 feet setback from the public right-of-way. There's no time limit for those to go up or come down. These are the most common ones. So at the city, the department responsible for enforcing our sign code is not me. I'm not the bad guy, it's code enforcement. But code enforcement is very nice because if they pull one of your signs, they're gonna give it to me and I'm gonna call you and you can come pick it up from my office and you can go put it where it's supposed to go, which is not in a public right of way. If you put it in a right of way owned by CDOT or maintained by Public Works, they're not as nice. They're gonna trash them immediately and you're gonna lose out on those signs. So please don't put them in a right of way. Don't risk it. Put them where they're supposed to go. If you're ever curious, just ask. We will help you identify whether that area is right of way or not. Any questions on campaign signs? Fantastic. Campaign finance, the money. Candidates, registered agents, and volunteers have to adhere to the campaign finance law. If you've turned in your candidate affidavit, you've already sworn that you're going to follow this. So I hope you know it. If you don't know it, you can find it in the Colorado Revised Statutes, Title I, Article 45, Colorado Constitution, Article 28. And we also have a local Commerce City Campaign Finance Code in Section 2-1005. Candidates and committees are required to track all of your expenses, all of your contributions, your loans, non-monetary contributions. You have to track it all. You're going to file 6 reports throughout the election cycle. If you declared before August 1st, you've already submitted your first report of contribution and expenditure. If you've declared or have not yet declared after July 31st, you're not going to file your first one because you weren't a candidate then. So you're going to report on 2 through 6. So what is a contribution? That's anything of value given directly or indirectly to a candidate or a committee. Anything that is $20 or more, you have to itemize individually on your report of contributions and expenditures. Anything that is $19.99 or less, you get to pull that all together, just do the math, and then you report on that total, what we call non-itemized contributions. If you receive a contribution from somebody that's $100 or more, you have to, on your Schedule A for your report, report their employer and their occupation. That's under state law. You have to do that for $100 or more. You also have to report on non-monetary contributions. So that's a donation of good equipment, supplies, services, and those have to be reported the same as above. And those also contribute or count towards the contribution limits, which we'll get into here in a minute. So let's say I own a photography studio and I, say, hey, I'm a really big fan of you. I want to support you. Instead of charging you, I'm going to donate a headshot to you and I charge $350. That's an in-kind or non-monetary contribution. You have to report that because they would charge $350 for a customer. That's an in-kind contribution to you. Prohibited contribution. So what can't you accept? As a municipal candidate committee, you cannot accept contributions from corporations, and that's both profit and nonprofit, and labor organizations. You cannot accept contributions from foreign citizens, corporations, or their governments. You cannot accept contributions from a registered lobbyist. You cannot accept contributions from another candidate committee. You cannot accept contributions of $20 or more. Again, those have to be itemized. You cannot accept a contribution in cash or coin over $100. If somebody wants to give you whatever the dollars and change are for $99.99, they can do that. Can't hand you a $100 bill. You cannot accept loans from other individuals or other entities other than a financial institution accredited either through Colorado or through the federal government or yourselves. You can accept contributions from LLCs if they're not any of the above, and there's a separate form that you have to get both from them and that you have to file with my office in that report of contributions and expenditures. New this year, Colorado recently revised the Fair Campaign Practices Act. There is now a $400 contribution limit from any individual or political party for municipal candidates. So that means even for in-kind or non-monetary contributions, if I normally charge a $500 headshot for that client and I'm donating to you, that's over the contribution limit, can't accept that. You can't accept $400 from any individual or political party in aggregate. So if somebody donates $400 to you, they're tapped out, they cannot contribute any more to you. You cannot receive more than $4,000 from a small donor committee. Again, these are one of the committees that pop up over the course of the election, those 5 to 12 that we normally get. You can accept up to $4,000 from a small donor committee. For expenditures, that's money that you or your committee expends or anticipates to spend. That occurs whenever it's either made, obligated, or that contract is established and entered into. Just like contributions, you have to itemize all expenditures that are $20 or more. All of your like gas receipts or whatever that is when you're driving volunteers around a door knock, right? If those are under $20, you just add all those up at your deadline and report on your non-itemized expenditures. Let's say you go out and you've got a candidate committee and you spend $150 on campaign supplies at Office Depot, but you spend it out of your own personal bank account because you didn't have your candidate committee debit card. Your candidate committee can reimburse you for those expenses that you made on behalf of that committee, even though you didn't have that card. Again, just like contributions, you can't spend $100 or more in cash or coin. So don't have any $100 bills on you if you're going to go out and spend money from your candidate committee. And you cannot use campaign funds for personal expenses except for dependent care. So if I see on a committee report, somebody went to a car wash to make sure their car was nice before they went and drove around with their sign on it, it's personal expenditure, I'm gonna send you an email. So the types of candidates and committees. So candidates that will raise money and spend money out of that committee must form a candidate committee. That candidate committee has to use a separate bank account. You can't just say, I'm using my personal bank account at Colorado Credit Union as my committee. You need to establish a separate bank account where that money goes into and comes out of. You have to file a committee registration with my office. If you're a candidate that you're like, I don't want to raise money, I don't want to deal with that, that's perfectly okay. You're what's called a standalone candidate. And you can either just spend your own personal funds or just spend nothing, raise nothing. And it's very easy for you for those 6 reporting periods. Campaign finance reports. So you will have a thumb drive in your packet that will have all your reports throughout the reporting periods. I've already got it pre-filled out for you, right? You're going to have 6 of those files in there. First one you don't need because that was due today at 5 o'clock and those are already submitted. But 2 through 6 are already in there. The dates are pre-filled out. All the check boxes, you just got to fill in your information, track your contributions, track your expenditures, and send it to me on the deadline. The Excel sheet, I worked really, really hard to make it as easy as possible for you all. A lot of the fields within that Excel sheet are going to auto-calculate. You don't need to do any math. They're going to pull in from all the cells that you fill in. If you do import this into Google Sheets, I can fix it, but I'd rather not. So if you can, please get a license for Excel. Either use your committee funds to get a license, use your personal funds if you're not going to have a committee to get an Excel license, and use Excel to fill that in. Google Sheets will break the software and allows you to do stuff I don't want you to do. Failure to submit a timely, correct, and functioning report will result in that being considered a late report. And I'm allowed under Colorado law to charge $50 a day for every day that that complete report is not submitted to me. That fine has to come out of your personal bank account. You can't pay that fine with committee funds. I will review every report that comes into me and I will let you know if any corrections need to be made, right? My job is to help you. If any corrections need to be made, I give you up to 3 days to make those corrections. If I accept that report, it's going on the c3gov.com elections page. If you receive $400, which again is that maximum, in one lump sum from somebody, you are required to file a large contribution notice with my office within 48 hours. That's going to be referred to as Schedule H in that report. So anything $400 or more. So again, you can accept up to $4,000 from a small donor committee. You can accept up to $400 from an individual political party. Anything $400 or more, whether it's monetary or non-monetary, has to be reported to me within 48 hours of receipt of that contribution. That also goes up on the city's website. That campaign finance report is going to start out with an introduction tab of what it is, how it's used, and an instructions tab. You're going to have your campaign report tab, which is basically your cover page listing all the aggregate contributions and expenditures. Again, it's going to be a blue cell. It's going to automatically do all the adding for you. You're going to fill in your candidate or committee name, the report type and period, which again is pre-filled out for you. You've got 6 of them. Woo. I think the room's still need to read it up. All of those reports are pre-filled in for you, the dates, the report, the checkboxes, everything. All you gotta do is let me know what you raised, what you received, and the Excel sheet does it all for you. Again, blue fields auto-calculate. If you see a blue field, don't touch it. You can't touch it, but if you import it into Google Sheets, it will let you touch it, so don't touch it. The detailed summary tab will take all of your aggregate totals and make it into a nice, easily understood tab. And then there's going to be a column in white on the right side where I want you to manually calculate all of your aggregate totals. So if you raise $1,000 for your first report and then $2,000 on that second report, I want that second report to show that you've raised $3,000 total. That way we can keep track of where that money is coming in and coming out of in total throughout the election cycle. When you open up that Excel sheet, this is the introduction on the campaign report. So again, I filled in the name of my committee, which is to elect Dylan Gibson to Ward 5. This is the second report, which is due on September 5th, already pre-filled in for me, which covers the period of August 1st through August 31st. All these blue cells are doing all the totaling for me. I don't need to worry about any of the math because I know what's right. Then I fill in my name, my campaign title, so either the candidate, your campaign manager, your registered agent, whatever you have. Type in your name again after the /S, which is an electronic signature, and then the date that you're submitting it. Again, the detailed summary page, all these blue fields are auto filling in based on the math elsewhere. And then I'm running those cumulative totals as well for my previous reports. Again, runs through all my expenditures calculating. So Schedule A, that's where you're going to individually itemize all of those contributions that you receive that are $20 or more. Contributions of $100 or more must include the employer and occupation. It's going to have a little introduction. It's going to remind you of all of the prohibited contributions that you're not supposed to accept. That way you have it right there and you don't need to think about it. And if you scroll down, again, total contributions for this reporting period is going to auto-calculate. And then you're going to identify all of the contributions that you receive. So on 8.5, I got a contribution from Bob Dylan. He gave it to me through ActBlue. Because he gave me $400, I have to report his occupation and his employer. Steve Rogers gave me $50 in cash. Again, it's under $100. I don't need to worry about occupation and employer. Schedule B is where you're going to track all of your itemized expenditures, which again is anything $20 or more. They must include a description or purpose. You can't just say $100 and not tell me what it was. I need to know what it was. The public, most importantly, needs to know what it was. So throughout the campaign previous cycle, I went to Acme Sign Co. and got some campaign signs for $100 or $500. I bought some Facebook ads for $100. I bought food for volunteers from Dion's, and then I paid my ActBlue fees. So when you receive a contribution from ActBlue, PayPal, any sort of third-party payment processing, you're going to report the contribution as that person intended to give it to you. So it's $50, you report $50. But ActBlue, PayPal, whoever's gonna take that fee out of you, you report that as an expenditure for those fees paid. Schedule C is loans. So for loans, again, you can only accept a loan from either a financial institution, which must charge interest and must have a payment plan where you pay that back regularly. Or you can accept a loan from yourself to basically seed money your campaign, but can't charge interest to yourself. You cannot take a loan from any other source. So you can't take a loan from a friend, can't take a loan from any other corporation, whatever it is. If I took a loan, again, for my seed money, I loan myself $2,500 to get my campaign started, have to charge 0% interest. I'm not making any payments back to that loan at the end of the period, so I still have a remaining balance of $2,500. Schedule D is where you're gonna list your return contributions. So if you go through the campaign cycle, you get to the end, you're like, oh, shoot. Dylan wrote a $100, check on a company check rather than his personal check. That's a corporate donation. You can't accept that. You need to contact the owner of that business, say, hey, you need to void that check and then write me a check from your personal bank account. So Bruce Wayne, he wrote it on a Wayne Corp check. So he had to return that $400 contribution, or I had to return that $400 check back to him. Schedule E, again, is any of those non-monetary contributions. Those contributions are donations, services, good, or et cetera. You have to report the fair market value. So again, if I go back to that headshot example, I want to take a picture of you like I normally would for my photography business, but donate that to you. If I normally charge $350 for that headshot, I can't say, I'll say $100 for that headshot. Has to be the fair market value, what you would normally charge. But also, again, counts towards that contribution limit of $400 of a donation from an individual. It's important to note that volunteer service is not a non-monetary contribution. If somebody's signing up to volunteer for your campaign and they would normally charge $1,000, that's a volunteer service. So again, I had the famous Annie Leibowitz, who's a photographer, take my campaign headshot for $300, which is pretty good deal. She normally charges $300 though, because that's the fair market value. That's my non-monetary contribution from her.
Question.
Yeah.
So what if like you wanted to rent like a private room from like a business or a restaurant? It can only be up to $400?
Only be up to $400. So let's say you wanted to rent it from XYZ business, they charge $1,000 for a day rental, capped out.
Oh, okay.
I have another question.
Yeah.
If Annie offered you the headshot for like $350, would she be able to make a monetary contributions or like, would that be maxed out?
That's a great question. So if she charged for $350, she still has $50 of threshold if she wanted to make then a $50 donation towards me.
Okay.
So it's $400 per person. And that is in aggregate over the cycle. So let's say she did this in August and she wanted to donate to me again in October, she can donate up to that $50 limit to me. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, Schedule F. So if you don't have a candidate committee and you're not gonna raise any money and you're not gonna spend any money, you have it extremely easy. You make my job really easy and I like you a lot. And that's because all you're gonna do is you're gonna put your name, your address, and your name and sign again for that date. It's already filled in for you. You can't touch anything on this spreadsheet really. It's $0 raised, $0 spent, takes a 10-second tops. If you are a standalone candidate, and let's say you did say like, hey, I don't want to raise any money, I'm gonna self-fund, but I'm gonna go buy some campaign signs. You can fill out Schedule G, or you will fill out Schedule G, which again, you're gonna report your name, the date of the reporting period. Again, blue field, auto calculates for you, and you're just gonna list anything. Same rule applies, anything $20 or more, you have to itemize, anything $20 or less, you can aggregate those non-itemized expenditures and list those. Going back to our contribution limits, again, Schedule H is a notice of large contribution, that's any contribution $400 or more. That counts for both monetary and non-monetary. If it's non-monetary, you need a description in there. And that report has to be filed to my office within 48 hours of receipt. So Bruce Wayne gave me $400 on 8/15 after I returned that company check back to him. He wrote me a personal check back as Bruce Wayne individually. That's a monetary contribution for $400 to my committee at this address from Bruce Wayne at this address I sign and date it, and I send it to my office within 48 hours of that coming in. If I see a contribution of $400 or more on your Schedule A, which is your contributions, and I don't have a large contribution form, I'm gonna be in your email inbox. We're gonna have words. Campaign finance reports, if you receive a contribution from an LLC, you have to fill in the member attribution. So if I have an LLC with my staff back there and we donate $100, that attribution would be $25 each because there's 4 of us. You also have to include the LLC affidavit, which they have to provide to you. They should know that. They will provide that to you. If they don't, you need to ask for that. Filing deadline. So today was already the first report. So if you're already a candidate and you already filed, those were due today. Those are already up on the website. Your next reporting period will be on September 5th, and that will cover the period from August 1st to August 31st. Your second period will be due on October, or your third period will be due on October 5th, and that covers September 1st through September 30th. Once we get past October 5th, you're going to report a little bit more frequently. Again, the voters and the public have a vested interest in knowing who's raising and who's spending money out there. So we're going to make you report every 2 weeks. So on October 20th, you are going to report on all of your contributions and expenditures from October 1st through the 15th. And then the Friday before the election, November 3rd, you're going to report October 16th through the 29th. And then you will have a post-campaign report where you're going to settle all your balances, basically repay any loans. If you're successful, you're allowed to keep that campaign committee going to pay for any expenditures that you incur as a council member. If you don't win, you either have to report on that annually, or you can zero out that balance by a few different ways. And again, that's due on December 5th. So if you report a $0 balance on that December 5th, you have terminated your committee. It's no longer active. You need to close that bank account, and you won't have to report on it anymore. You cannot have any outstanding debts or loans. So to both that financial institution or to yourself, you have to settle those debts. If you loan yourself money at that 0% interest rate, you can forgive that loan that you gave to yourself. It's important to note that the loan to yourself does not count towards the contribution limit either as well. If you're unsuccessful and have a balance after December 5th, you have to close your account within 1 year of the election. So if you're like, I don't want to deal with this now, 1 year from election, you're going to get an email from me saying, hey, you need to report that this is terminated. If you're successful or if you are unsuccessful and you want to terminate your account, you can donate to a political party. You can donate to another candidate committee for yourself. So let's say you're unsuccessful for city council, but you want to run for Adams County. You form a candidate committee for, committee to elect Dylan Gibson to Adams County Commissioner. You can transfer that money from your council committee to your Adams County committee. You cannot transfer that money to any other committee for another person. You can return the contribution to the contributors, which involve a lot of math and reporting on that Schedule B, or you can donate it to an IRS recognized 501c3 charitable organization. That's pretty much where most of the people that are trying to zero out their candidate committees, what they do at the end is they donate it to a nonprofit somewhere in the metro or in the city. Contact. So my office is here to answer any questions that you have. However, if you have any questions that involve any sort of legal advice or interpretation, I'm going to tell you to go talk to an attorney. I cannot provide legal advice. None of us are lawyers. We wouldn't be any good at it. To reach me, email is best. You have my email. It's all over the campaign forms. It's in your packet. I respond to email much more quickly. I'm in and out of meetings a lot. So if you do call me, leave me a voicemail. It'll pop up in my email and I'll call you back whenever I'm either at my desk or I will type an email up to you with the answer to your question. I promise you, I will respond within 24 hours to any email or call, voicemail that you give me between the hours of 8 and 5, Monday through Friday. Other than that, thank you all so much for being here. Best of luck to you all. This is the best thing that we get to do in my office. It makes me so happy that we get to do this. We are here as a resource. We really hope that you guys, while the election may be, tense and complicated and scary and you're nervous, we're here to kind of be that more comforting voice to, help make things as easy as possible for you all while you're out there. With that, one last shot. Any questions for us?
In regards to that campaign finance reporting, I was looking through the Colorado Constitution,
Mhm.
and it said, and there was a mention about campaigning
Mhm.
outside the boundaries
Mhm.
of like where a ballot box is going to be.
That's considered an electioneering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a list or like a map of where those ballot boxes will be so that we don't have to like actually be in that spot?
That's a great question. So there's one outside City Hall here. We also contract with Adams County, so when they open up those voter services centers on October 27th, those are also places of voting, so you cannot electioneer outside of those. On the elections page, we will have that list once we get that finalized list from Adams County where all those ballot boxes, both drop off and voter services center are, so you kind of know where to avoid. Adams County is very good about having ballot box watchers out as we get closer to the election, as well as having funny enough, yard signs around those ballot boxes saying, hey, don't campaign within 100 feet of here.
Right.
But yeah, that will be up on the elections page once we get that finalized location list. Great question. Any others? Great. Well, we have nomination petitions in the back. If anybody already hasn't picked up one, you just need to use the sign out sheet. Take your candidate packet, go forth. Hopefully everything works out well for you. I know it's an election, not everybody's gonna win. If you don't win, we have a really great boards and commissions program where you can still be active in the city, volunteer your time and get to, have that experience. But again, any questions, please let me know. Jason and myself are here. It's really great for you all to be here. Thank you so much for your commitment and service to this community.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Dylan?
Yeah. Question?
No, I'm gonna, no. It's for you.
Okay. All right, well, I'm gonna stop this then.